All right, so this week on the NZ Travel Show, we are going to be talking about the weather in New Zealand in December, what to expect. So if you're planning on traveling in New Zealand in December, well, a lot of other people are planning to do so as well. So one thing to expect is to
A lot of
be
other
busy.
people.
Yeah, it's going to be busy. But summer is the first month of summer in
December is
December.
the first month of
Yes,
summer.
it's the first month of summer in the Southern Hemisphere. That is I don't
It's
know.
live, people. It's
Yeah,
live.
it's very hard as a sentence to say. So it should hold some great weather for an amazing road trip. So today we're gonna go over some travel tips for New Zealand in December, as well as some weather patterns. We're gonna be talking about rainfalls, temperature, and we're gonna tell you what to pack when traveling in New Zealand in December. So let's get started with 5 tips for traveling in New Zealand in December with the beautiful Laura.
Okay, first tip for December, which is summer, which means there is usually quite a lot of sun, which means you should definitely make sure that you have some high factor sunscreen with you and make sure that you do apply it regularly, or any other method of covering up from the sun. You really will need to do it in New Zealand because of the way that it's positioned on the globe. It does have some of the highest UV rays in the world, so even if you don't usually get sunburnt, chances are that will not be the case in New Zealand and you will get sunburn. Even they say after about 7 minutes of sun exposure in New Zealand, you do start to burn. So yeah, make sure that you have sunscreen always handy in your day pack as you're traveling around. And another sort of, sort of toiletry item type thing that you should take around with you is insect repellent. So summer in New Zealand often means that the sandflies are out, which are very pesky little insects that when they bite, they can leave a very nasty itch. They don't carry diseases or anything, but it's just really annoying if you do get bitten by one. So yeah, insect repellent can help deter that, as well as, again, covering exposed skin with just clothing sometimes. Another thing to do, because it is December, because it is the high season in New Zealand, you will need to book quite a few things in advance, whether that's accommodation, perhaps even buses or flights, transport, even some activities. Just if you have the opportunity to book book now for December, book as far in advance as you can, then definitely take that opportunity to do so, because this is when the country is at its most busiest. Another tip is that if you are traveling in New Zealand around the Christmas period, then do note that there are some public holidays on the 24th, the 25th and 26th of December. So that means that shops and services will have reduced hours, so just plan around that. And then finally, do note that if you are, planning to, have a few beers in, I don't know, some place for New Year's Eve, note that in New Zealand there are some laws that you can't just drink in a lot of public places, especially in urban areas, which, some international tourists might not be aware of that even being a thing. But yeah, you can't just crack open a beer in the street in New Zealand. There are certain places where, yeah, you have to be in certain places to do that, not on the street.
So don't crack a beer open in the middle of the street. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I like that tip.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, so next up we'll be talking about the typical temperature in December. Okay, so let's get talking about the typical temperatures that you can experience in New Zealand in December. In December, you will experience slightly different climates throughout the country of New Zealand. You'll realize that some of the temperatures are much higher than some others. So let's go over that. And then after that, we'll talk about rainfall. Okay, so let's look at the map with the beautiful Laura over there and look at the northern New Zealand. This encompasses the region of Northland, the town or city of Auckland, and the city of Tauranga. And so the average daylight temperature in December in New Zealand would be 18 degrees Celsius, which is 64 degrees Fahrenheit. In central Northern, which is Hamilton, Taupo, and beautiful Rotorua, the average temperature will be around 15 degrees Celsius, which is about 59 degrees Fahrenheit. In southwest North Island, which is New Plymouth, Palmerston North, and even all the way in the south in Wellington, you can expect around 15 degrees Celsius as well, which is around 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if you want to go sip on some great wine in Gisborne, Napier, or in the Wairarapa region, you can expect to sip in this or on this wine, in the beautiful basking sun at 18 degrees Celsius, which is around 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, making our way to the South Island of New Zealand now is Nelson and Blenheim. That's a northern kind of South Island, basically all that region. That's around 17 degrees Celsius, which is around 62 degrees Fahrenheit. In the western South Island, which include Westport, Hokitika, and even beautiful Milford Sound, you can expect around 15 degrees Celsius, which is around 59 degrees Fahrenheit. In eastern South Island, you have Kaikoura, you have Christchurch, you have Timaru. You can expect 16 degrees Celsius, which is 60 degrees freedom unit. Then in inland South Island, Lake Tekapo, Queenstown, and Alexandra, you can expect 14 degrees Celsius, which is around 57 degrees Fahrenheit. And finally, we're wrapping it up with Dunedin and Invercargill with 14 degrees Celsius, which is 57 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, next up, we'll be talking about the rainfalls. All right, so next up on our December weather coverage, we're going to be talking about the rainfalls. How much does it rain in New Zealand? Are you going to get wet in New Zealand in December? Well, the answer is yes. It's New Zealand, right? You know, it's rainy because it's a beautiful country, and to keep it green and beautiful, we need the rain. So here's what you can expect region by region. All right, in northern New Zealand, Northland, Auckland, and Tauranga, you can expect 90 millimeters of rain, which is 3.5 inches. In central North Island, in Hamilton, in Taupo, in Rotorua, you can expect 110 millimeters of rain, which is around 4 inches. And as I blabber about the rain, YouTube is telling me to tell you to like the video, so hit that like button because buttons are important to YouTube. Southwest North Island, New Plymouth, Palmerston North, and Wellington, 90 millimeters of rain, which is 3.5 inches. Eastern North Island, that's Gisborne, Napier, and Wairarapa. Again, will there be some water to, water down your wine? Yes, there will be. It's 50 millimeters of rain, which is 2 inches. Okay, heading to the South Island in Blenheim and Nelson, northern South Island, that is 70 millimeters of rain, which is 3 inches. In western South Island, Westport, Hokitika, and Milford Sound, it always rains heaps. Buckets, in fact. 200 to 650 millimeters, which is between 8 to 25.5 inches. In eastern South Island, Kaikoura, Christchurch, and Timaru, 50 millimeters of rain, which is 2 inches. In the inland South Island, that's Lake Tekapo, Queenstown, and Alexandra, between 40 to 80 millimeters of rain, between 1.5 to 3 inches. And finally, in southern New Zealand, Invercargill and Dunedin, 100 millimeters of rain, that is 4 inches. Here you go. Next up, we'll talk about the best places to visit in December. Oh, Laura, couldn't wait to come back.
I was running back.
Should we talk about our favorite places to visit in December, Laura?
Let's do that.
Okay. Well, Laura, do you want to get us started?
Sure. Okay, so if you're looking for beautiful beaches, some sort of beautiful golden sands to go with that sunny weather, then a good place to go is at the top of the South Island to the Abel Tasman National Park. Sorry.
Another great place within this area, right? Because summer in New Zealand, you want to make the most out of that beautiful sun and making sure that you kind of really enjoy the fact that it is. Although New Zealand is not reliable weather-wise, and again, 4 seasons in one day or all that shebang, it is the most reliable kind of month to get some sun in, right? So for that reason, heading to Nelson, which is the sunniest city in amount of sun hours per year in New Zealand, is a really cool thing to do. There is some really fantastic hikes around, and there is some really cool excursion just around and outside of the town. You can even drive all the way to the Nelson Lakes, which it's still a little bit of a drive, but then you're going going to have beautiful alpine environments, or you can head to what Laura was just talking about, the Albert Tasman National Park and all those beautiful golden sand beach and all that. So you're kind of really close to a lot of amazing attraction, basking in the sun of the sunniest area of the country. So why not spending some time in Nelson?
Next up is actually a place that's in a very similar area to Nelson. It is on the it is also at the top of the South Island, and it's Blenheim. So if you prefer, instead of maybe doing too much hiking or whatever, then you can always go to Blenheim, which is renowned for its winemaking region. So there's loads of wineries and cellar doors open, and summer is the perfect time to go and sample various wines, relax at their cellar doors where they have restaurants, and you can just kick back, enjoy the sun. It does have long sunshine hours in Blenheim also.
Okay, next up on our list, we are heading to the North Island, but nothing too different. We're also going to the top of it. So we've done 3 places on the top of the South Island. Let's do at least 1 place on the top of the North Island. So the Bay of Island is comprised of 144 different islands, and it's located just off the shore of the small township of Bahia. It's a fantastic place to experience what the New Zealand summer on the North Island is really like. There is the beach, there is some amazing cultural places. There is some amazing adventure activities such as it's not parasailing, the thing with the boat. Yeah, it's parasailing, isn't it? Yeah, parasailing. You also have a really great mountain biking ground. There's a lot of really epic attractions to do in the Bay of Island in summer, especially in December. So head there.
And finally, another good place on the North Island that is renowned for its mild climate, but also some fantastic coastal areas and beaches, is the Bay of Plenty region. So this is basically the coast where around Tauranga, Whakatane area. So yeah, along there we've got some beautiful beaches, and it's also renowned for its Pohutukawa trees, which are known as New Zealand Christmas trees, because during this time in December they blossom red flowers, and it looks like a very pretty area at this time of the year.
All right, next up we'll talk about a December packing list. But first, let's head back to the live chat. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to Laura, where we're going to go over some of the essential items to pack for a trip to New Zealand.
All right, since it is summer, it is okay now, guys, to pack your shorts. I mean, I feel like we've gone through most of the year already, and it's just been make sure you've got warm clothing. But now, summer is here. There are some more comfortable temperatures during December, so wearing a pair of shorts is probably going to be, it's a good time to do that. Also, several light tops in your suitcase or backpack. You'll definitely want to have those as underlayers, so when you can take layers off and you have something light and airy underneath. Another thing to pack are light hiking pants. So you can get really nice light hiking pants that dry really quickly, and we still think they're really good to use in summer because covering that extra skin sometimes when you're hiking is really good for protecting your legs against sandflies. Also means that you don't have to put sunscreen on that part of your body. Just reapplying sunscreen all the time is a bit of a chore sometimes. So having some, light material hiking pants is a really good idea for summer as well. So yeah, keep that in mind. Also, for similar reasons, you might want to pack some light long sleeve tops. Again, to cover yourself from the sun if you don't want to always apply sunscreen, and also to protect yourself from sandflies. We especially do this when we're on walking trails out and about when we're traveling around New Zealand. And yes, even in December, even in summer, we do recommend that you pack a rain jacket. So have that rain jacket handy, either in your car if you're not leaving too far away from your vehicle or your accommodation, or if you are out for the whole day, make sure that you do have it in your backpack. Some days you definitely won't need it, but there may be the chance that the weather does change quite dramatically throughout the day, and having a rain jacket is going to feel a lot more comfortable than being cold and wet, because yeah, it still kind of sucks to be cold and wet even in December in New Zealand when it's summer. We've already mentioned before, but we'll say it again. Make sure that you do pack some high factor sunscreen. And also, believe it or not, we do recommend that you do pack some thermal layers, or at least like some warmer mid layers that you can put on top. So when the sun goes in, if you have a really cloudy day, it can feel significantly colder than, say, you might have got used to those really sunny days. You might be used to being really warm, but then as soon as the sun goes in, it can be hard to climatize and you can feel the chills quite a lot. So having some extra thermal layers or a mid layer to put on is definitely a good idea, to have that available for you as you're traveling around New Zealand. Swimwear is definitely a must-do in December, not only for perhaps if you're going to the beach or if you're doing any water sports, maybe whitewater rafting or doing caving in Waitomo, that sort of thing, but also hot pools. Even in summer, hot pools feel pretty good. So if you want to sort of experience the geothermal attractions of New Zealand and those natural hot springs, then definitely bring your swimwear. And then finally, New Zealand is all about the outdoors, and whether you are taking very short walking trails or really long, even multi-day walking trails, you'll definitely want to have a good pair of walking shoes or hiking boots. Just depends on what you prefer. Again, we always recommend to have waterproof walking shoes or hiking shoes, because once they get soaked through, it can be really hard to dry out your shoes as you're traveling around New Zealand. So yeah, definitely prepare for some walking shoes for your time in New Zealand.
Alright, there is a link to our complete guide to traveling in New Zealand in December in the description of this video, and if you did find it useful, like and sub and all those good stuff, plus plenty of information on nzpocketguide.com.